Going to talk about the fact that you must control your dopamine or it will control you. It can sound dramatic, perhaps a little alarmist, but it is grounded in science and in lived reality. In our current environment, digital, fast-moving, always connected dopamine is being manipulated, overstimulated, overstretched. Unless we step in and reclaim our own nervous systems, we risk becoming captive not just to our devices, but to impulses, habits, and shallow satisfactions. So let's explore what dopamine is, why it matters, how our world is driving it into overdrive, what the consequences are if we let it run wild, and finally how we can regain mastery. What is dopamine, and why does it matter? Dopamine is a neurotransmitter, a chemical messenger in the brain and body. It is made in certain specialized regions of the brain and released to carry signals from neuron to neuron. Cleveland Clinic won, but dopamine is not just any chemical. It has several roles. It influences movement, memory, attention, motivation, mood, learning, reward. Cleveland Clinic won. Let's unpick some of this so you understand why control matters. Dopamine is deeply connected not just to the pleasure we feel, but to the anticipation of reward. When our ancestors hunted, explored, built, created, dopamine helped reinforce behavior that was useful, survival-oriented, goal-driven. It said, "This matters, do this again." That anticipation, that quest for reward is central. Without it, we might sit still, we might lack spark, we might lack motivation. Also, dopamine is not just about pleasure. It influences movement. Think of conditions like Parkinson's disease, in which dopamine-producing neurons degenerate. Encyclopedia Britannica 2. It influences attention, the ability to focus, to work, to learn. When dopamine pathways are disrupted, you see problems with concentration, planning, memory. Simply Psychology 3. Finally, dopamine works in pathways and networks. It triggers neural responses and modulates them. In one study, researchers at MIT found that dopamine release extended the duration of neural activity in certain brain areas. It didn't simply amplify activity, it made it last longer, thus promoting learning and reinforcement. MIT McGovern Institute 4. So, dopamine matters because it helps drive action, shape habits, and wire our brain's responses to the world. How modern life manipulates your dopamine now. Consider the environment we live in. We are more connected, more stimulated, more on the go than ever before. That's not inherently bad. But the way our technology, our devices, our platforms are designed means they tap directly into the dopamine system. Every notification ping, every like on our social media, every binge-watch session, every online scroll, every junk food treat, each of these can deliver a mini dose of stimulation that your brain responds to. Because we've wired it so that dopamine rewards got something. The platform gave it, we responded. Our brain said, yes again. At first glance this might seem benign. Who doesn't like a notification, a fun video, a quick reward, a social hit? But over time, this pattern changes us. It trains us to expect easy, fast, instant gratification. It trains our brain to chase peaks, to shift attention, to avoid the slow, the hard, the boring. Here's what happens. Because you receive regular little bursts of dopamine from quick hits, your brain may start to demand them. Normal, slower rewards seem less interesting in comparison. You might find it harder to focus for long stretches. You might get restless when you are not being stimulated, because you've conditioned your brain to expect a certain level of stimulation. Also, when your brain keeps receiving dopamine without corresponding effort, challenge, or meaning, the system begins to adapt. Dopamine receptors downregulate. You get less lift from the same stimuli, so you chase higher peaks. This is sometimes called the dopamine treadmill. You keep running, but the scenery doesn't look as good. What this means in real life: you wake up and your phone is the first thing you check. You scroll social media while walking, commuting, eating. You split attention between tasks. You binge content and late into the night. You feel drained because you never gave your brain true rest. You feel bored because real life feels flat compared to the stimulation you're used to. You struggle to concentrate, to study, to produce meaningful work. What's more, the platforms and devices are not neutral. They are engineered to keep you engaged, to keep you scrolling, to keep you switching tasks, to keep you entertained. They exploit the dopamine system. We are living in the most dopamine-saturated environment in human history. Asterisk, asterisk, the consequences of dopamine dysregulation, asterisk, asterisk now. Let's be blunt about it. If you let your dopamine system run unchecked, without control and without boundaries, you risk serious consequences, not just in terms of productivity or focus, but in terms of mental health, fulfillment, and the quality of your life. One major consequence is reduced motivation. When your brain constantly receives easy hits, the ability to tolerate slower, harder tasks diminishes. Real, meaningful achievement often requires sustained effort, patience, delayed gratification. But if your brain expects quick hits, it resists the slow burn. Attention span suffers. When you're used to switching between tabs, checking your phone every minute, moving quickly, you train your brain to flit. Real concentration becomes difficult. Studying becomes painful. Sitting quietly, thinking becomes uncomfortable. Procrastination skyrockets because the boredom of starting work seems unbearable compared to the stimulation of distraction. You might find yourself constantly justifying a quick check or just one more thing until hours are gone. There is also the risk of addiction. Yes, addiction. It may not always look like drugs, but behaviors, screen time, social media, games, binge watching, junk food, can hijack the reward system. Over time, your brain requires more and more stimulation to feel the same effect. Also, there is an emotional cost. Desensitization sets in. What once gave joy no longer does. You can become restless, dissatisfied, anxious. You might feel emptier, less connected, less alive, because you're chasing dopamine but missing meaning. And consider this: many mental health issues are linked to dysregulation of dopamine. Too much in some areas, too little in others. Cleveland Clinic. 1. When your reward system is jarred, your mood, cognition, behavior all suffer. In short, if you do not control your dopamine, your life begins to be reactive rather than proactive. You become ruled by impulses and distractions rather than your values, your goals, your best self. Asterisk, asterisk, how to reclaim control of your dopamine, asterisk, asterisk. Now the good news: we are not powerless. We can reclaim control. We can train our brains. We can set boundaries. We can build habits that align dopamine with real progress rather than trivial distraction. The key is not to eliminate dopamine. That would be impossible and unwise, but to asterisk, asterisk, refocus, asterisk, asterisk it, redirect it, and regulate it wisely. Here are several strategies you can start right now. 1. Digital or dopamine detox. Choose regular periods where you disconnect from high-stimulation digital activities. No phone scrolling, no social media, no streaming. Use that time to read, to walk, to reflect, to be bored. Boredom is not a failure. It's a reset. It allows your dopamine system to recalibrate so that real life feels richer again. 2. Delay gratification. Instead of giving in to every impulse, check phone now, grab snack now, watch a video now, practice waiting. I will finish this task first, then I will check. I will study for 20 minutes, then take a break. This trains your brain that reward follows effort, that satisfaction is earned, that patience is strength. 3. Single tasking and deep work. Multitasking splits your attention and fragments your dopamine responses. Instead, commit to one clear task at a time. For a fixed stretch, focus without interruption. You will feel the resistance at first, but gradually, your ability to focus deepens, your concentration improves. Your brain relearns to tolerate the slower burn. 4. Do hard things first. Make this part of your routine. The most important, demanding task of your day goes first, when your willpower is freshest. This trains your brain to associate productivity with satisfaction, taking control of dopamine rather than being led by it. 5. Physical exercise and movement. Exercise is one of the healthiest ways to engage dopamine naturally. It's earned, it's real, it changes your brain chemistry in a positive way. Your body moves, your heart beats. Your brain rewards you for real achievement. Over time, you train your dopamine system to respond to real effort rather than just clicks. 6. Sleep, nutrition, and recovery. Your brain's chemical systems depend on rest and fuel. Poor sleep, sugar crashes, constant stimulation. They all undermine dopamine regulation. Prioritize sleep. Eat real food. Avoid constant snacking on high-stimulus junk. When the brain is well rested and well fed, your systems function more smoothly. 7. Mindfulness, meditation, reflection. Set up moments where you step out of the frenetic pace, where you are not chasing stimulation but simply being present. This helps you disengage from the dopamine loop. Notice your impulses, then choose instead of reacting. A few minutes a day of silence and awareness can make a difference. 8. Set long-term, meaningful goals. Dopamine should be a servant of purpose, not a tyrant of distraction. Define what you want, not just what feels good now, and break it into manageable steps. Celebrate progress. Your brain then learns, yes, this matters. Yes, this reward is worth delay. 9th, redesign your environment. Remove easy defaults that lead to cheap stimulation. Keep your phone out of the bedroom, disable unnecessary notifications, set timers, create spaces where distraction is harder and focus is easier. You will not only rely on willpower, you will shape your environment to support your nervous system. Finally, track progress. Notice when you are drawn to distraction. Notice how you feel when you resist. Notice how your focus changes, your mood changes, your energy changes. The process is less about perfection and more about awareness, adaptation, resilience. ***, why this matters for your future ***, let me make something very clear. Controlling your dopamine is not about becoming a monk or isolating yourself from the world. It is about freedom. It is about reclaiming your attention, your time, your potential. It is about not being a passive consumer of life, but an active creator of it. Everything worth doing demands this. Building expertise, building relationships, building character. All of them require sustained effort, patience, focus, tolerance for the mundane. These are precisely the things that are undermined when our dopamine system is hijacked by instant gratification circuits. When you control your dopamine, * you focus deeper, * you work harder, * you resist distraction, * you tolerate boredom, * you finish what you start, * you value progress over reaction, * you build resilience, * you create momentum. When you lose control of your dopamine, * you flit between tasks, * you seek shallow wins, * you get distracted easily, * you feel empty despite being busy, * you start and don't finish, * you become reactive rather than proactive. In essence, controlling your dopamine is about steering the ship of your life rather than letting waves toss you around. Asterisk asterisk conclusion asterisk asterisk. So let me end with a restatement and a challenge. Dopamine is a powerful force. It drives your motivation, your habits, your attention, your pleasure, your dissatisfaction. Left unchecked, the currents of modern life can pull your dopamine system off course. But you don't have to drift. You can control your dopamine, not because dopamine is bad, but because it matters, because when you pay attention, you set the terms. When you control your environment, you align your chemistry to your goals. When you practice patience, you train your brain to value progress. When you resist cheap hits, you make space for meaningful satisfaction. When you focus, you channel your energy. The world will always try to distract you. The devices, the platforms, the easy entertainment, they will call you constantly. But you have a choice. Use them, but don't be used by them. Command your brain rather than being commanded by it. In doing so, you reclaim something profound. Your attention, your time, your focus, your life's direction. So let us commit. We will not be slaves of our impulses. We will not be carried away by every ping and every scroll. We will direct our actions, tame our impulses, value our attention, control your dopamine, and you will control your focus, your discipline, your ambition, your future. Thank you for listening.